Good evening, I'm Elaine Quijano. It's day 9 of the partial government shutdown with no end in sight. The longer it lasts, the more government offices will be forced to close. The main sticking point is border security. The White House now says President Trump is open to ideas other than a wall along the border. Errol Barnett is in Washington with the details.
I've never been more encouraged. If we can get people talking, we can find our way out of this mess.
Republican Senator Lindsey Graham had lunch with President Trump today, helping to navigate a compromise out of the government shutdown. The South Carolina senator is encouraging the president to bring Democrats on board by, among other things, providing work permits to children of undocumented immigrants. Senator, after you outlined this to President Trump, what were the first words out of his mouth?
Interesting.
Counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, says her boss hasn't spoken with Democratic leadership recently and is open to other ideas.
It really depends on what Customs and Border Patrol says they need. And they have said they need barriers. They need, the president says a wall, barriers. They need steel slats. They need technology enhancements.
In speaking of the administration's aim, outgoing Chief of Staff John Kelly tells the LA Times, to be honest, it's not a wall, explaining, quote, "We left a solid concrete wall early on in the administration when we asked people what they needed and where they needed it." This comes as President Trump continues to tie the partial government closure to the Democrats' refusal to fund what he describes as a desperately needed wall. Talks have broken down between Democrats and the White House just days before Nancy Pelosi will be sworn in as the new House Speaker over the incoming Democratic majority. This weekend, the president called it the Schumer shutdown, despite taking responsibility for it just a few weeks ago.
I will be the one to shut it down. I'm not going to blame you for it. I am proud to shut down the government for border security, Chuck.
Now, speaking to the White House press today, Senator Graham said that if Democrats are ready to end this shutdown, they can pick up the phone at any time to give President Trump a call. And we should note that our most recent CBS News polling found that almost 60% of Americans oppose building a wall along the southern border. Elaine?
And Errol, General Kelly will wrap up his role as Chief of Staff this week. In an exit interview with the LA Times, he's blaming former Attorney General Jeff Sessions for child separations at the border. What more can you tell us?
That's right. General Kelly, in speaking to the LA Times, said effectively that it was former Attorney General Jeff Sessions who, quote, instituted the zero-tolerance process, surprising, apparently, the Trump administration. Now, we should note that when he was saying this, he was defending his protege, Kirstjen Nielsen, who is the current head of DHS. She was Kelly's deputy during his time leading the agency, and she is currently shielding most of the blame.
Right, Errol Barnett at the White House. Errol, thank you.